Hey everyone, and welcome to today's Explainer. So today, July 28th, officially marks World Nature Conservation Day. Now, it might just sound like another simple commemorative date on the calendar, but today we're going to look at exactly why environmental conservation is no longer just some nice-to-have ideal. It is an absolute, scientifically grounded survival necessity for human civilization.
Okay, let's dive into this with a number that should absolutely grab your attention right out of the gate: 1 million. According to the Intergovernmental Science Policy Platform on Biodiversity and Ecosystem Services, that is the staggering number of species currently at risk of extinction if we don't drastically change our current global trends. We are literally looking at a mass extinction event driven largely by our own activities. So yeah, today's topic, it's incredibly urgent.
To get a handle on all this, here is our roadmap for today. We'll start with the science of survival, then look at the major threats to our planet, move into global and individual action, and wrap up with the future of conservation.
All right, Section 1, the science of survival, focusing on our ecological foundations.
Just to ground our conversation right away, nature conservation is strictly defined as the protection, preservation, management, and restoration of natural ecosystems. And from a purely scientific perspective, this whole concept is fundamentally about maintaining biodiversity to ensure ecosystem resilience for future generations. It's about stability.
And this brilliantly illustrates that we aren't just talking about saving a few trees here. We're talking about deeply interdependent planetary systems. Air, fresh water, soil for our critical nutrient cycles, forests acting as these massive carbon sinks, and of course, wildlife. It's like a giant puzzle, right? If just one of these pillars falters, the entire structure shakes.
Which brings us to Section 2, threats to our planet, looking closely at environmental pressures.
The science consistently points to 5 major threats that are degrading our ecosystems at an alarming rate. First up is deforestation, which is heavily driven by agriculture and urban development. Then we have climate change, primarily fueled by CO2 emissions from fossil fuels and methane from agriculture. Third is biodiversity loss, which, as we just talked about, directly reduces our ecosystem resilience. Fourth is the pollution crisis, and wow, the data here is just grim. The World Health Organization reports millions of premature deaths annually just from air pollution alone, while microplastics are actively entering our food chains. And finally, unsustainable resource use, where our human consumption is flat out exceeding the Earth's natural regenerative capacity.
Let's move to and see how this builds, because it is essentially a scientific domino effect. Disrupting just one cycle cascades into massive planetary changes. Forest loss inherently leads to increased CO2. That extra CO2 traps heat, which leads to a warming climate. That warming then alters landscapes, resulting in massive habitat loss. It's this constant cascading loop of planetary change.
Let's pivot to some good news in Section 3. Global and individual action, and the solutions currently in progress. On a global scale, we've actually been progressively building a solid framework for action for decades. Back in 1987, the Brundtland Report officially defined sustainability as meeting present needs without compromising future generations. Fast forward a bit to 2015, and the Paris Agreement created a unified front to limit global temperature rise. And today, our efforts are guided by the UN Sustainable Development Goals, particularly SG 13 for climate action and SG 15 for life on land. The scientific community and governments are continuously working together to operationalize ecosystem protection. Now, what's really interesting about this is seeing exactly how global organizations like UNEP, WWF, and Greenpeace are actively turning these agreements into physical reality on the ground. Take the Great Green Wall in Africa, or the vast Amazon conservation programs. Scientific studies show these specific reforestation projects are actively absorbing atmospheric carbon, dramatically improving soil health, and aggressively restoring biodiversity as we speak.
But, you might be sitting there wondering, okay, but what about me? What can I actually do? Well, environmental psychology and sustainability research offer incredibly reassuring data here. Individual behavior change, when scaled across populations, collectively creates a highly measurable and massive environmental impact. You absolutely do not have to be a global superpower to drastically reduce environmental pressure.
In fact, research highlights several highly effective, scientifically backed actions that you can take right now. Reducing your carbon footprint through smarter transport and energy use, that's fundamental. Adopting a more plant-rich diet directly lowers global methane emissions associated with large-scale agriculture. Reducing your plastic consumption keeps those nasty microplastics out of our water systems. And actively supporting renewable energy, or just participating in local conservation efforts, creates immediate positive ripples right in your own community's ecosystem.
Moving into our final part, Section 4, the future of conservation and overcoming the barriers ahead.
So right now, we are currently operating under a pretty flawed model known as ecological overshoot. That's where human consumption continuously exceeds the Earth's regenerative capacity. The science firmly dictates that we must transition to a circular economy. In this model, waste is meticulously minimized, and resources are continuously reused. Modern environmental science emphasizes that integrating environmental protection with economic development, rather than treating them as these opposing forces, is the absolute only sustainable path forward.
And the cool thing is, we have incredible emerging technologies reshaping conservation science to help get us there. We are literally using satellite monitoring to track forest health in real time. We're deploying AI-based wildlife tracking to understand and protect endangered species better than ever before. We're even actively developing carbon capture technologies to pull existing CO2 right out of the atmosphere, all while rapidly expanding our renewable energy grids. The tech is finally catching up to the crisis.
However, and this is crucial, despite all this incredible progress, scientific modeling points out major systemic barriers that still remain. Our global economic dependence on fossil fuels is still deeply entrenched. We face weak enforcement of environmental laws, rapid urbanization that displaces habitats, a lack of widespread environmental education, and for sure, significant political and industrial resistance to change. Overcoming these hurdles requires massive, systemic, global cooperation before we hit those irreversible ecological tipping points.
So, the crucial point is this. It all boils down to this definitive conclusion drawn from decades of research. Without nature conservation, sustainable human development is impossible. Protecting nature is not optional, folks. Every single ecosystem and natural resource plays an irreplaceable role in maintaining our planetary balance.
The science is totally clear. The solutions are available right now, and the required actions are known. The future of the planet depends on immediate, science-driven action at both the global, systemic level and the individual level. Which leaves us with one final, essential question for you to consider today. What role will you play in the continuity of human civilization? Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I really hope you take these insights into your world today.